There
It
it
sure
is.
is. There we go. Okay.
All right. Did not realize. Okay, so this.
Thank you, Kimmy. We'll
Thank you.
start again.
All right. All right. So I'm Herman. It's my beautiful wife Dee, and we are.
HND Abroad. Our channel is all about documenting our 2024 move and all of the pieces that go into that. So we are sharing our research, introducing you to the people that we're meeting along the way as we're choosing a region, a country, um, and learning from their process, but also developing a community of people like you that are sharing their journey as well. So, if that is something that's important to you, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, hit that and hit that notification bell because we go live pretty regularly.
Pretty regularly.
Yeah.
As we always say, this is a conversation. This not just Dee and I talking or us talking whenever we have guests. This is a full conversation. So please join in the chat, ask questions, give us your thoughts and opinions. And if you're here watching later, hit hashtag replay in the comment section and give us your thoughts. We always respond to the comment section as well. So
Absolutely.
quick shout out to
Oh
folk in the
yeah. So
chat.
Kimmy Apple. Hey Yolanda, locating cozy. Hey Andrea. Oh, this is our dear sister. Hopefully you and Jean want to say hi to both of them. They're in Portugal. Hey Monique. That's y'all. She is my heart doula. Who's in Tennessee? So thank you, Monique, for joining because I know she's interested in the move abroad process as well. So I wanted to bring this conversation forward. We're having some conversations with folks in our community, and we've talked about,
Mhm.
hey, uh, things that are happening politically in a country, wherever you live in the world, you should be paying attention to. You should be situationally aware of what is occurring as a person, as people that live in the United States. We are looking at how things are changing, and does that line up with a country that treats us best? And whatever your thought process is around that, whether it's feminism, a person of color, as a woman, um, that is older.
Mm.
These are things that are in consideration for, is this the best place for us? But also we're looking at, is this the right time for us to move? Is it? So we're looking at it, at the political situation, especially in preparation for this coming election this fall. How does the move abroad process fit into our plan? Because I think a lot of people, as I'm looking in the chat for videos that have been done by some of the people that are in our sphere of influence, people are, this is a frequent time people are saying, I might need to consider leaving. So if that is you, welcome. Welcome to a community of people who are saying moving abroad fits into the life I want to have, or the life that I've established. They are sharing lessons learned. And so we thought it might be important for us to just talk about it.
And we're talking about it from the perspective of our experience. So we're sharing our thoughts and opinions from the flow, not necessarily in
To
direction
sway,
or,
we're not trying to sway you.
yeah. One of the things we want to say is we've tried to continue to share that we want to encourage the look of moving abroad as an option, but our it's not our job to push you in any direction. So we really want to say, what are we looking at? What's the bigger picture in the process? So we got a few points that we'll hit today, and then we'll let it stir a little bit, let you marinate on it until the next time.
Yeah. Hey, Bayesian Alpha 4 and Dr. Donna. Hey, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining the conversation. So I think Kimmy's comment is really important. I think even if you can't, it's hard to not be able to put a finger on it because y'all, we've been watching things unfold. People are saying a lot, whether that is through their social media or um, in conversations that we're having on the job, in social interactions, that have been probably things that they've said behind closed doors, but are being said out loud and with boldness. But I think there's also a heaviness about, um, for me, I'm just going to say it that way, a heaviness because of uncertainty. I think I felt like I understood where the country was kind of going. Excuse me. Um, I believed growing up the
Mhm.
stories of this is a melting pot. This country is a melting pot. That there are multiple perspectives that are respected. That uh, when you raise your voice in a country that champions democracy, that even if your perspective is different, that people are at least willing to find a way to have common ground, and if not, that my voice is could be relevant.
Mhm.
And as a person of color, we have we have had an uphill fight, um, for what we would say is our rights in this country to be acknowledged, to be our history, our contributions to this country to be acknowledged, um, and recognized within the fabric of what makes where I live. Where do I see the thread of the people that look like me contributing?
As Americans in general, there is there appears to be, it feels to me to be such a vast amount of conflict, you know, which has its pluses and minuses because that differences of opinion are how we grow and how we are unique as a country. But those differences are becoming so much more varied and the inability to discuss them, to share them, to debate them in a reasonable way seem to be becoming harder and harder. And for those of us who are minorities in various places, in various formats of what constitutes a minority, seem to be falling further and further into the crevices. So
Mhm.
our first point is
Wait, hold on just a
okay.
second, because I want to say the second part of what Kimmy is talking about is this, as things, especially probably within the last, probably since '08,
Hmm.
personally, um, that I've been looking at what are the alternatives. I've heard people saying, I need to move. And I've kind of been like, that seems extreme. And then I was like, that might not be that actually might be an option to saying, what are my options for leaving?
Mm.
Not because of the political situation, but it adds to
Hmm.
my motivation. And we'll talk a little bit about that. And Yolanda's point, y'all, we're gonna talk about that a little bit too. But it's when you are a parent with adult um, children, with adult young people,
Especially with adult young people, but even with
as parents of Black males
mhm.
in the U.S., it's it's concerning. And I feel like now is the time where I can definitely be the continued example of not only having these conversations about what are your options, showing that you can. if moving abroad if moving abroad is a possibility or is under consideration for you, hey, see how your parents did it. Take advantage of the opportunities because we are doing it. And we've talked on this channel about, family unity opportunities, even up till age 26, is as long as your children are unmarried. There are countries where under the parents' economic solvency, once they become residents, and we've talked about the difference between being a citizen of a country and a resident. As a resident, that's one of the privileges that we have, is to allow our children to have that extra visa access, those visa opportunities. So yeah, I mean, there is a lot of concern. There's a lot of motivation, and that as parents, that we could provide an answer, an example, a path. We can continue to give valuable breadcrumbs, even whether it's to our children or our wider circle of influence within our community.
And as we said before, and then take a step back and allow them to make that decision. I think sometimes we get fight from the people we love because we go into a full press.
Yes.
And you know how people are when they're unsure, their natural response is to resist more. They're not encouraged more, they resist more. So
starting the conversation.
Emotion is a motivator, but it is not a decision maker. We are driven by how we feel. We have had several conversations with people who have said, "Oh, I'm being encouraged to run for my life," is essentially what it sounds like. And things are getting bad, and if I don't make a move right now, I'm going to be trapped. Anxiety, fear,
doom, calamity.
My concern when you launch with those kind of emotions into any process is that you are so blinder focused and so terror driven that you don't take a time to step back and take a breath and see the whole picture. You can step deep into fear and make a move and then go, I didn't do this and I didn't do that and I didn't take care of this, or I'm doing it because I was told to do it, but you don't know why you did it. Our fight or flight response is strong because of our trauma experience, and the need to protect ourselves is real. Being motivated by, I need to make these decisions, these things need to be happening in a timely manner. We're making some decisions about our move because of some of the financial situations we're moving through. There's an emotional need to push forward.
And I'm not going to lie, looking at the political situation is definitely impacting and making sure that I stay on this timeline. But to say I'm going to do something before the election or before the inauguration, and it doesn't fit into my plan, I think is counter to the process that I want to not just move, I want it to be a sustainable move abroad. And feeling rushed or hurried, I know I'm going to miss things that don't allow me to connect important dots.
I don't want to create another crisis for myself because I acted in a time frame or in a way that I was unprepared.
Right. And I think that that is the value that I'm hoping that we're giving our community is be motivated. Tap into what is motivational. If there's not an emotional connection to why you're moving abroad, it's that that's how stuff gets
Mhm.
pushed into the future because it doesn't matter. I think emotion should be added to my process, but it should not be why.
The guidance.
It should not be the sole reason.
Mhm.
Um, it should it should be a part of the foundation that I build, but there's a lot of thought and a lot of intention put into the process because I don't want to just leave and have to ricochet back.
And this is important. This is an important statement, though. Here,
Yeah.
it's never too late until it's too late.
Hmm.
But what's too late here? And I think that has to be individual to you. I think sometimes right now we get into, and this might sound controversial in contrary to what I'm going to say later, but sometimes step away from some of the tight groups that we're in, or expand the number of groups that we interact in, because you can get
Tunnel vision.
when you're getting hit with one message, and it's like we all grab arms. I'm trying to remember what animal is. There's some animal that every year they run together in fear and run off a cliff. And it's just everybody's running, so we run off a cliff, and okay, we got away from whatever the danger is, but we plummeted to our death. You want to be aware. I was mentioning to Dee, talking to our children, that I need to revisit with our children active shooter protocols. If you're in public and someone starts shooting, what do? You're watching your TV shows, you're watching your movies, people come into an area that's crowded and they start shooting. What do people do? Everybody's just scattering and running. There's no taking notice of who's shooting, where the shooting is coming from, getting low, getting to a safe place. Everybody's just, I need to get away. And in that getting away, more people are hurt or killed than if they took a moment to assess the danger in front of them.
I think also it makes me think of FOMO, fear of missing out. You know, when you the too late. What it also is helping me to realize is now may be the best opportunity to take the opportunities that are available to me and lean into them. So things like, if this conversation helps you to center, at a minimum, I need to get a passport. If fear drives you to get a passport, if fear is saying I need to at least begin to lay the groundwork so that I have a way to make some decisions, then those are things that you center. Launching, hopefully, is a thoughtful, intentional process for people that that are like us. There are other people that just say, you know, I have the means, I have the things that are central and necessary to me, and it doesn't take a year and a half, 2 years
There are some people who can pack their
just
bag
push
today.
that, to push it forward. But you have to be able to identify that you have those things. So I don't think that it's ever too, I don't want to say it's too late. But opportunities may come off the table over time. And so the best, what do you call it? The best time to plant a tree, to buy a house, was 10 years ago. Yeah. So what are the opportunities and advantages that are available to you? If fear motivates you to look deeper, please allow it. If feeling anxious about what's happening, if we're talking about the national election, then we're also very short-sighted. I'm just going to say that from a political, because all politics is local.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there are federal things that happen that impact my daily life, but your city councils,
Mm-hmm.
your state uh, elections, your school board elections.
Pay attention to your HOA.
I'm just saying, these are things that impact you on a daily basis,
Mm-hmm.
how you move in the world. Policies that are happening in the workplace, you should definitely be paying attention to them. We've highlighted a lot of those things on our channel. I think I probably have shared it probably about 5 times in the HR community, the conversation we had with S. Anne Marie, the anti-HR lady. She's just like, if you don't think things are happening in the workplace, you need to be completely aware of them. And it is motivating people to say, what are my options?
Okay.
So is your move an answer to your question? So if you're saying, I'm getting out before the next election or the next inauguration, is that really answering questions you already have?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that's going to not only be a motivator, I think it's going to be a sustainer, because I'm always going to come back to, it's the right time.
Is it a real solution to the problems you've identified for yourself? It is an option, but is it the solution? In encouraging the move abroad process, we're not saying moving abroad is for everyone. There are some people who can make this process right here in the States work best for them. Is moving abroad the best solution to your problem? Does it answer the questions you have about what's going on in your life? If you're doing it because you're being encouraged to do it because everyone's doing it, even in this is a conversation for another day, but I'm gonna throw it out there. If D and I have a different opinion about what our problem is moving abroad the best option for us? If she wants to go because she feels safe and saying, I need to go because I don't want to be here anymore, and I'm saying, I got a plan and a process that works here, then there's a bigger conversation that we have to have, because what is the problem? Because obviously we've identified the problem differently.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that is a big challenge for couples, because there are a lot of people saying, I want to, they don't want to. We have several videos, please go back and watch on our channel, about convincing or sharing with your partner the move abroad process. I think sometimes, and this ties directly into what it is people want to do it because they heard it was great. It looks beautiful, especially when you're trying to convince men. It's beautiful there. It's lovely there. It's inexpensive there. Those are great things to hear, but those aren't answers to solutions. We
answers questions. Yeah, I actually I'm glad that you brought up the men, because when, if on the playlist that we have for the Black men moving abroad, when to hear men say, sometimes these discussions during the election are bringing forward things that have probably always been a concern, but really bubble up and become a sharper focus. To hear Lamar say, I have been concerned about my safety, but during these political conversations, that CNN, where in North Carolina, the one person running for office was talking about why President Obama needed to be executed. Y'all, I mean, that brings into sharper focus, can bring into sharper focus. People are going to say more. Initially, I was like, maybe they're just saying it for sound bites, but it's resonating with someone, which means my safety is is in danger. And I know for Black men, as I have listened to the conversations that H has had on our channel, that safety is a huge concern. And I think when you are listening to these conversations, it can bring into focus some things that, yeah, I'm looking for what is an answer to my safety question. Mm-hmm. Maybe you do need to go where you're treated best.
I think, in answering these questions, it's time to take the soft touch off of these conversations.
Yeah.
Because the world around us is not soft touching their thoughts, their opinions, their feelings, their views, their morals, their perceptions, their perspectives. They are throwing it all into the pot. And we're still, yeah, when people, broad statement, begin to criticize, what do they call it? The politically correct statements. There was a natural knee-jerk reaction to, you're attacking me. But I think sometimes that they're not wrong. We get so politically correct, as they like to say, that we aren't dealing with reality of where we are. I think that there's a respectful way to say the truths that we have.
Right.
And we've lost the respectful ways of saying, I disagree. I don't like that. I see that differently. And I think sometimes as we are wringing our hands trying to find ways to say something so somebody doesn't get upset, that we don't speak honestly. My wife shares that with me all the time. She said, you're trying to guard me from saying something and you haven't said what you feel. It is, we've been, our history of watching what we say, our history of watch your mouth, watch who you talking to, has diluted the realities and our expression of our realities and what we're dealing with. And so I think sometimes the conversations fall into these gray areas, and we really need to begin to talk with each other in reality so that when we come forward, these bold statements that people are saying, run, go. I don't begrudge them that thought, because I think it's time to stop. It's time to take the gloves off.
Yeah.
But in that, what we're asking is it individual to you and your house, to your home, whether it's you are a single person, whether you are a single person with children, whether you are a married couple, whether you're a married couple with children, whether you are 25 or 65, what is real to the situation in your home, and how do you make those things come where they answer the questions that are vital to what is happening in your house?
Absolutely. What I do want to make sure that I say in this conversation is there is no political party that is for me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. No one is for me. I am for me. Okay. And so the election, the national election, local elections, it is my job to care for me and my family, to center our values, to center. Other people are doing that. And I don't, going with the flow. But also I don't have to be the solution to every fight either. And so I have to answer questions that are important to how we want to live, how we will sustain our living, and moving abroad is an answer to those questions for us. And so that is why we center this on our channel. We talk about moving abroad, helping us to live a healthier lifestyle into the future, protecting our financial future, building a financial future, and being able to live affordably without having to add more hours, working 2 or 3 jobs to be able to maintain what would be considered a reasonable lifestyle. So
I think this is an important statement Kimmy is making here. I think a part of the problem, and we've stated this before, get away. Your town and your city and your state is not the only place on the planet.
Yep.
Get away. Perspective comes sometimes from being able to see the broader world. This house sitting experience, even though right now we're just in the States, just the opportunity to be out of the space in which I live, in which we live, in which we normally deal with the world. You get to see traffic patterns differently. You get to see how people who live in a different city have different backgrounds, experience.
Food, y'all. Just culture, food,
It gives
language,
it,
arts.
those talking about my motivation. We live in a city that is transient to people from all over the world because of some of the military and military contracts and civilian contracts in the area. But the opportunities for diversity here in the foods and the arts is still very limited. When I'm back home in Florida, when I visit my mother's home in New York, we were in DC. You're talking about, you get a chance to tap into all of those things. And when you get a chance to travel outside the country and see that the world has its challenges as well, but there are different things you can come in contact with that can motivate you. I think that's an important step to taking a breath, even if you decide being in the United States is best for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Servant Teacher Nikki, yeah, I mean,
there's a big
I'm
concern.
concerned. Yeah, I am concerned. You know, we if you have never considered it before, you should be.
Mhm.
That I think whether it's I've never traveled outside the US and so I don't have a different perspective on the world. I don't get to hear and see people ask why they do that there. Why you know what is that fight about? What is that you know, if you are the leaders in this and that, why are you doing this and that?
Mhm.
And to be able to hear other people say that, or to be able to just say, man, I have never been able to take a deep breath like I have here
Mhm.
before, where I'm not identified and tracked because of my skin color. That I can feel a part of a community without having to represent a safety concern.
Mhm.
Um, Tracy talked about it on our channel when we were sharing our conversation as mothers, inspiring our young people to move abroad, to be able to move with freedom. If you've never not had someone follow you in the store, to hear Rick say, I went to the grocery store and then went to another store. My wife wanted to go into another store. You know, here, you don't take bags from one store into another store. And for her to say, they don't do that here.
Mhm.
They don't do that here. If you've not experienced that, Move Abroad could be answering some questions you might not even recognize. Could I live on one salary, on one person's salary?
Mhm.
Because we fighting for our lives with 2 and 3, and we were paying debts off with 7 jobs.
Mhm.
What we're saying is, if the Move Abroad process isn't answering questions that you already have, take a look deeper. Dot your I's and cross your T's. We're talking about research.
Ooh, that's big.
Getting out of the US before the next election. Don't be out here with pants on fire without understanding. Okay, without understanding, and understanding doesn't it does take doing a little bit of internet searching. It does
Mhm.
take getting um into a relationship with a facilitator that can tell you, yeah, you have the documents, no, you don't. Whether you're on a fixed income like Social Security or a pension, there are places all over the world where you can live on $1,500 a month and live well and live and not have to worry. Can I eat? Can I afford my medication? Can I go to the doctor or to the hospital for a health concern and it not send me into bankruptcy? Bankruptcy
Mhm.
from medical debt is the number one thing in the US.
Mhm.
When I say do your research, healthcare access is answering a question for us as we age. So I'm doing research on where are the happiest places, because the happiest happiness summit happened this year in the UK. I mean, this month in the UK. Yes, there's the happiness index, and what makes people happy in those places are good services. It's clean, it's affordable. You don't have to worry about, can I get fresh fruits and vegetables? There's not something called, what do you call that? Food deserts,
Mhm.
because cities are planned with walkability, public transportation,
Little markets are everywhere.
or the structures of, hey, it's World Doula Week. So yeah, where are the places that I can go where the government gives time off for families, gives a supplement to parents of small children? If you have not watched our What Does It Cost to Live in Japan, Carmisha is saying, as a student, I'm not a student, as a teaching assistant,
Mhm.
that the Japanese government is providing a supplement for her and her husband's young child so she doesn't have to pay tuition. They give her a stipend because she has a child. Y'all, there are places where people are getting some big questions answered, and she didn't know that without doing her research.
We say simple things like get your passport, but understand the importance of the passport. What does an American passport do for you? What does it give you access to? How long can you have that passport? What does it cost? How long does it take to get it? What documents does it require? You need to know that when you get your passport, your birth certificate, excuse me, will be out of your presence for whatever time it takes for them to get it processed. They are holding your birth certificate. Do you have a secondary birth certificate? So if you have other things you need to take care of to that process, you have that birth certificate available to you.
Mhm. Oh, documenting that you've had health insurance so that you can continue it in another country. All of these things are things that definitely should be considered.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Yolanda talking about selling that fire, baby. Things are, you don't know what's broken until.
And we're talking about a state that is big on its firearm, leave us alone, and, and but yeah, okay.
No proof of sale, baby. Anyway, okay, yeah, that part, that part. Yeah, I do agree. The more we're finding out, I, there is no utopia in the world.
No.
So I'm not saying that I'm leaving here to go to a place where everything is perfect, but I can prioritize what's most important to me. Places that value walkability, fresh air, spaces, giving you access or the right to start a business without super duper expensive restrictions. These are things that when you're doing your research, it should be, like we said in the thing before, it should be answering, your research is helping you to answer questions. Does move abroad add grease to those
Mhm.
opportunities
Mhm.
that might be difficult in your own country?
Mhm. Yeah. This statement highlights what our last point is when you're in good community,
Hmm.
you have information like this. And I would encourage you to be in a variety of available communities, various groups on the various social media platforms from different countries around the world, even if you've already chosen
Your place.
your place, even if you've moved to your place, join a few other communities around the world and see the changes and the things that are going on. Um, Compare and contrast the options that are available in living in various places around the world. We plan to do
A little bit of bopping.
a little bit of multi-living. And so having information going into those spaces provides an insight to what options we might have, because everything is not going to always be we got a chance to spend 2 weeks there before we decide to come back and spend 2 years there. And little bits of information like this from Nikki and David is like, hey, we had these things happen and we were able to come out of pocket. Recognize that everybody's pocket is not the same. So being in these communities give you an opportunity to get, specific information. What did that look like? And people are pretty honest and upfront about the cost of living and the challenges they're facing. Car tests from Move Abroad and Thrive, Aging Grateful,
Picky
Our
girl.
Black Utopia,
Mhm.
Picky
Picky
Girl
Girl
Travels a
Travels the
Girl,
World.
Stephanie, Rashida. They're pretty straightforward about, hey, I ran into these challenges, and this is what it cost me. This is what our housing looks like. Bobby is on Aging Grateful is doing an excellent job showing all the rental properties and the cost of them. Jewel down in Ecuador, I mean, she just blows us away with what
is available.
Condos on the beach costs that are less than the apartments sometime in this little town we live in. And these collective communities create an environment for which you can make rational, reasonable, thoughtful decisions that are beneficial to you, beneficial to your process, answers to your questions, that are boosted by your emotions but not driven by your emotions,
or motivated by a timeline. Timeline is important for somebody like me that could always find the reason why this isn't the perfect time.
Mm-hmm.
You might be able to, with the passport, go to a place. When you look at your US passport, sometimes you can spend 180 days. You could probably find a few solutions to some questions in 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
You could probably be in a place, if you could take the most critical things that are important to you, move to a place while you're trying to decide. Okay. Do you have to pick your forever place? No. But you need to, at a minimum, give yourself the credential,
Mm-hmm.
the credential for leaving,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to see the perspective from a lot of different angles. Look for people that have a similar life situation,
Mm-hmm.
or are prioritizing things that are important to you. When we were looking, we specifically look for couples. We look for people of color. We look for people who who are talking about their move in relationship to their adult children, that are not retirement age. And so they're going to have to work. Where are they in the world? Yes, the digital nomad visas are giving a lot of access. Is why Colombia is coming toward the top of our list. These are things that if we weren't in a community, like if I wasn't in a community like Exodus Summit, if Herman wasn't making connections with other Black married men that have moved abroad, a lot of these things would not be visible to us. Because if you've got a timeline like the election that is in front of you, crowdsource, crowdsource your answers, crowdsource figuring out your process, because it's technically April. Technically it's April. The election is in November. You can do a lot. A lot would need to be done, but you can do a lot in a very short amount of time. We interviewed the couple in Thailand. They left in 3 weeks, y'all. 3 weeks. They cleared out an apartment's worth of stuff.
Now, they also said
packed their bags and left.
They ran headfirst into some issues.
But it can be done.
But it can be done. Pay attention to the environment, to the political environment, to what's going on in your world. Things are changing. Whether you see it for the better or for the worse, things are changing. It is a part of the dynamic that is the United States. But it is also a part of the dynamic that is the world and where the part that we play in this world. Vote whenever you have the opportunity to vote.
And wherever you are in the world.
Wherever you are in the world, vote. I respect.
Look, I'm a Black person, and recognize that my parents marched for my right to vote. My parents. That in the state that I live in, I have crossed the Edmund Pettus Bridge numerous times to my family's hometown. I am from Birmingham, Alabama. My mother grew up 5 miles from 16th Street Baptist Church, lived across the street from one of the girls killed in the bombing. I take these political shifts and changes and my privilege and responsibility to be knowledgeable about what's happening politically and allowing it to impact how I leverage the opportunities in this world. As a Black couple, these are things we have to come together on. And as we are seeing, politics is sometimes dividing couples. The communication piece that I talked about on Thursday's Live about, whether we're talking about solo travel, convincing your spouse to move abroad. If the political environment is what is motivating to you, sit down with your partner, talk about how you feel, what it means to you, get together, come together. Is this a solution for the two of you?
It is a daily process. It is a conversation. We promote conversations and communication on this channel. It is a process that we continue to work through, that we continue to learn through as a couple and as individuals, because we're both. We are both individuals and a couple. And we encourage you to do that in your communities, in your homes, with your families, with your friends, with those you sometimes are in conflict with. Because sometimes you'll find that people who you have different opinions about, it's the slightest things. You'll find that you have a lot of the same processes in common, but you have different motivators or different ways to come about it to reach the same goal.
Yeah.
Let's regain the conversation and the communication. If moving abroad is for you, we encourage it. If building on what you have right where you are is best for you, we encourage it. We
But
support your decisions, but make those decisions having done all you can to understand where you need to move forward. We as Black people, we as people of color need to join together.
I'm going to say this as a mental health advocate as well. There's a lot that's coming at people through social media that is intentionally triggering. If that is yours, consider how you can protect yourself, guard or limit, or because a lot of people are triggered. And I use the term trigger intentionally. It is things are said to evoke an emotion and to trigger your fight or flight response. And I think we need to protect our energy in that way. We need to be careful about what we allow in, not just saying I want one perspective, but that if I feel overwhelmed, if you're listening to a broadcast and your heart is beating faster, your breath is shortened because of the language or the staccato of the voice or the music that's being used, be aware. Be aware and guard your energy. We are here to encourage a thoughtful conversation, and thought we needed to add our voice to this this get out conversation, so that you can see what it looks like for a Black couple that is saying it's right for us. It's the political environment is a motivation, but it is not the foundation of why we're doing it. So thank you, Yolanda. Thank you for those kind words. We are so grateful to the people who join us each week, who share comments if you're catching the replay or are commenting on our Instagram or our YouTube community focus post, or inboxing us. We appreciate how you all are being an example. Andrea and Jean have just captured our hearts and have said, y'all can do this. Y'all can do this. And you need people in your world, in your point of connection to give that kind of encouragement. So may you all have a beautiful Easter weekend. If you are celebrating Resurrection Day, may you all find peace in your process and in your connections today and always.
We're H&D Abroad. I'm Herman. This is D. We'll see you again soon.
Like this video, share, subscribe. We will be dropping the conversations that Exodus Summit has had, that Stephanie Perry has had on her channel, that Adelia Abor-Shade of Picky Girl Travels the World, where we're talking about if you need a community of support, we're here. If you need to talk to somebody, our consultation link is in the description. Let's go make it happen for you. Bye for now.